You can't force, say, criminals to comply with the law. It's illegal now for felons to have firearms, yet felons have them. The law, you can use them punitively. So if you discover someone has a gun who shouldn't, then you can punish them on the basis of that law. But the law can't prevent a criminal from doing criminal things. That's why they're criminals.
Not.
They break
But
the law.
That argument is like saying we shouldn't have traffic laws because the people who are going to speed and go through red lights and go through stop signs are going to do it anyway.
Oh no,
whereas
have the law.
the law-abiding drivers won't.
But what I'm saying is that the laws impact the law-abiding. So, if you make a law saying murder is illegal, well, okay, the law-abiding are going to abide by it, but the criminals will not. And so when you enact a new law, you have to consider its effect on both sides. There's a goal you want to achieve. Okay, so say you want to achieve less shootings. Okay, so that is a goal, and I think that's a goal shared by everybody. So you propose a law saying, well, let's mandate smart guns. Well, there's problems with that, and first of all, the bad guys aren't going to trade in their regular guns for smart guns. They're just not. You're going to create a tremendous black market in the wake of that edict. Okay, just like we did for drugs, and we made Al Capone rich because of prohibition. The same logic applies. So you're going to make law-abiding citizens now trade in their guns, and at a tremendous cost, by the way. These things aren't cheap. And not only that, the technology is not perfected. I've researched this a lot, and no police department have yet adopted the technology due to their unreliability, just to questions of the reliability, long-term reliability. I mean, would you want your life, if it depended on your having a weapon at hand at a bad moment, dependent on whether or not your battery was fully charged?
Well, I will get to that in a moment. The idea of self-defense, of you're having a gun at the right time to defend yourself, because the reality is that the element of surprise always defeats the gun carrier. If carrying a gun offered self-defense, no policeman would ever lose their lives. But unfortunately and tragically, they do. The element of surprise always trumps the gun carrier. But let me get back to an incredible distinction, and I'd like you to help me with this. Tell me, I could phrase this in one of two ways. We've had LaPierre talk about the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with the gun.
Yes,
we've had you, in fact, just saying now, making a distinguishing factor between law-abidings and criminals.
Yes,
and I'd like to know what a good guy is. Define a good guy for me. Define a law-abiding person for me.
Well,
what's a law-abiding person?
I will do that in a Dr. Phil kind of way. The best predictor of the future is the past, and that includes behavior. And you'll probably notice that whenever they find a shooter or a criminal, and you're watching the news, and they're either one of two things. They're usually, most times, either highly mentally disturbed, have some big problem, and a lot of people knew about it, such as Jared Loughner, who shot Gabby Giffords and should have been prohibited from buying anything. He should have been in an institution, in my opinion. But anyway, so they're either mentally disturbed or they have a long criminal history. You hear about their long criminal history. And as a matter of fact, it's the recidivism and the revolving door policy of our prison system that puts a lot of these people back out on the street when they really shouldn't be. So I guess that's the definition. I passed a FBI background check, meaning they found nothing more than parking tickets in my history, and people
that's
in
the
Michigan,
danger of living in the city.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'll admit I've broken some speed laws too, but
We all have, Stu. We all have.
In Michigan, we all have to pass an FBI background check, and this isn't the instant check that you run just checking your ID to buy a gun. This is a more extensive thing. It used to take months and months, but since so many states have adopted concealed carry, they've gotten computerized, and it's a much faster process now. But still, it's more extensive. It's the equivalent of getting a level 1 security clearance for, say, a civil service job. So people with permits, at least in Michigan, I can only speak. I don't know too much about other states.
Michigan is different, isn't it?
Well, each state
some
is
of the
different.
southern states,
I'd
you
like
don't
to
need
see
a permit at all.
Yes, I'd like to see some more uniformity between the states. But that's a future battle. So people with permits have an exemplary record. Each year, the Michigan State Police put out a report on concealed carry and permit and how it's permit holders and how it's working. And statistically, we are involved in less crime and especially gun crimes than even the police. So I guess that's what I'd call a good guy.
This overwhelmingly show that more guns equal more crime, not as John Lott would argue that more guns equal less crime.
Well, I've never seen
and we're
that.
We're gonna have John Lott on the show down the line
verified.
here. But here's what I was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that there is a world filled with law-abiding citizens, with two types of people, law-abiding citizens or criminals, and that it's a two-person world or a two-personality world, to me is misleading. It's false. It can't be true, because if one just thinks about it for a moment, every criminal was once a law-abiding citizen. The reality is that law-abiding citizens are law-abiding till they're not.
We're all born law-abiding.
Yeah, well, and some of us remain that way, and some of us don't. But here's just from a proposition point of view,
mm-hmm.
and the proposition is this: if you'll accept, which I think you do, that law-abiding people can change, they can become non-law-abiding. Then,
to an extent, yes, we've all blundered into breaking a law here or there, and I would make the proposition that most law-abiding people, and I would say that there are really two kinds of people. I address this in my book. There's actually scientific studies that show that the actual brain architecture of criminals is different. There are distinct actual physical differences in the wiring of the criminal brain. Now, that doesn't mean that 100% of the people with this distinction turn criminal. But it does show that 100% of career criminals have this distinction. So it's a very real thing. I would say. I'm no behaviorist. I'm just a guy who plays records for a living, but. According to all the research I've read, the vast majority of people are generally law-abiding. They're respectful of each other, and it's because usually we're very empathetic. We're very empathetic. We also have respect for the law and our system. But there is a distinct element.
This is an ideal person. Studies have shown emphatically, now that they can map the brain and actually see the cells turning on and off, and have identified which ones are involved with aggression, kindness, empathy.
Mm-hmm.
People who simply don't have empathy.
Exactly.
But, here's the point. This is. I just want to advance a proposition for you to think about, because I don't think we can, go through it all in one show. But that doesn't mean we can't have you back and talk about it. Talk about it again.
Sure.
The proposition is pretty simple. In most countries that I'm familiar with, England, France, Italy, Germany, Scandinavia, etc., getting a gun for self-defense is not a reason for allowing you to get a gun. They have strict gun laws, and you cannot say, I have a situation that requires me to have a gun for self-defense. They just won't give it to you because they know that guns fail to protect anyone due to the element of surprise. But that said, that said, if we give 1,000 people conceal and carry guns to the right to walk around with guns, some percentage of them are going to snap. Some percentage of them are going to move from law-abiding. 1,000 law-abiding, wonderful people. 1,000, you give them 1,000 of them get guns. Some percentage are going to snap. So the proposition is, would your side accept more difficult out conceal and carry guns and more monitoring, or does our side have to say we're going to be forced to take a bet that none of these people will change their mind, will snap? And I don't think that I don't want to have to take that bet.